Good morning, and welcome to today's class, Variations of the T Sound in American English. Hi, my name is Jennifer Tarle, and I am the owner of Tarle Speech and Language Services. And as you know, we specialize in accent reduction and pronunciation training in terms of sounds, vowels, and consonants, word and syllable stress, and intonation. So today's class is an advanced class. I get a lot of questions about the American T sound. That's why I'm doing this free class today. But keep in mind that this is not required. This is a bonus. As I tell all of my clients, I really go for clarity and just better communication overall so that you can be understood. But if you want to go that extra mile and really sound native, this class on the T sound is really going to help you. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you have questions, please put them below the video once it's posted, and handouts will be available on my website later today. Please keep in mind that I have had some issues with the quality of my audio, and so all of my other windows are closed to lower the demands of the computer, so I'm not able to see the live chat during the session. That being said, I do check that after the class, and I respond to all questions below the video. So if you ask a question, check back later, and I will have a response for you. Okay, so our agenda for today, we're going to go over the T sound. How do you read it? How do you spell it? And how do you say it? Then we'll talk about the variations, and everybody's favorite, we will go through some practice. The T sound is read as T is read as the T sound, but there are variations of this T sound. With pronunciation, speaking and pronouncing a sound are very different than the actual spelling. Spelling is a guide. And so you want to make sure that in American English, you really learn some basic spelling rules. You can see those on my website. And so for the T, we read the letter T as the T sound, but again, the way that you pronounce that T sound can change. How do we spell this sound? You can spell it with one T. You can spell it with two T's. You can spell it with TW. Yes, that is one sound, two. You can spell it with a TH, like in Thomas or time, the spice. Or you can spell it with a D. And if you're confused about this last one, you can watch my free class from last week on how to pronounce the ED ending. And I get into, in detail, how to pronounce the letter D as a T sound when it comes at the end of the word. And just to go back up to that double T, the TT, we do only pronounce that as one sound, even though it is spelled with two letters. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop the screen share. Okay, so I'm going to have you look at my face so I can talk about how you make the T sound. So to make the T sound, what you're going to do is your mouth is going to be just slightly open. The tip of your tongue is going to touch behind the top of your front teeth. To get really specific, my tongue touches the spot between where my teeth meet the roof of my mouth. So where my teeth meet the skin on the roof of my mouth, that's where my tongue is touching. So my tongue is pulling down and back a little bit, and the air is just puffing out. If you've watched my other classes, you're familiar with voicing. The T sound does not use my voice. So my vocal cords are not vibrating for the T sound. Okay, now keep in mind, as we get into our variations, this is going to change a little bit because in some cases, this is a little preview, we're going to pronounce the T sound as a D sound. I know that gets crazy confusing, but we'll go through that today. Okay, so what are the variations of the T sound? There are 5, yes, 5 variations of the T sound in American English. We have a regular T, a flap T, a glottal stop, an unreleased, and an aspirated T. Okay, so keep in mind with these T sounds, let me go back on my, whoops. Okay, so keep in mind with these T sounds, I think for many of my clients, understanding that there are variations in the T sound helps more with listening, especially for my clients who have just moved here from a different country and their English is actually excellent, but they might be in an MBA program and the professor might be speaking a little too quickly and there might be some variations that they've never heard. This is really going to help you in those situations. So again, this is all a bonus. You don't have to do this. People will understand you just using a straight up regular T, but this really will make you sound a little more native if that's what you are going for. Again, not required. Okay. So let's look at our first regular T sound. We've already talked about this. So you're going to touch the tip of your tongue to the back of your top front teeth. Then you're going to pull your tongue down and away from your teeth and the air is going to puff out. But it's not a huge puff of air. It's just a kind of a natural release. T. We use this sound before an S sound. Mats, cats, meats. And we use it after an S sound. Misstep, steam, start. And we use it after an N when that N is in a word, not necessarily when that N comes at the end of a word when it's spelled NT, okay? So we have entrance and into. Entrance, into. So just listen to those again. Again, this is a regular T. It's a natural release of air, and it's not really big and puffing out. Okay, mats, cats, meats, misstep, steam, start, entrance, into. And if you're going to work on one T, I would say work on this one because one of the biggest mistakes that I hear from clients is that they use too much air with a T sometimes. And so then that actually sounds like you're adding an extra or an extra vowel after it. So it might sound like you're saying matas. And that kind of gets a little confusing for your listener. Okay, so let's go to the next one, the flap T. So again, we're going to touch the tip of your tongue to the back of your top front teeth. And again, pull your tongue down and away from your teeth and the air is going to puff out of your mouth. Here's the big difference. You're going to use your voice for the sound, so your voice box and your throat is going to be vibrating. So the sound, the T, is going to sound like a D, okay? If you think about this, this one makes sense because if we're thinking about our voicing rules that we talked about in the S ending class and the D ending class, you have voicing around the T with 2 vowels, between a vowel and L, between a vowel and an ER, and then after this R vowel. So what you're doing is you're just keeping that voicing on. So it makes sense if you think about it that way. And so we're going to hear the D sound, remember. Noted, city, meeting, little, rebuttal, settle, water, butter, patterns, dirty, 40, quarter. Now, if you say these words with a T and you say noted, city, meeting, little, water, dirty, that's fine. Everyone is going to be able to understand you. Again, this is nice to know, especially if you're listening to a native speaker and you're saying, what are these people saying? Okay, let's move on to the glottal stop. What is this exactly? This is the sound that happens when air is stopped in your throat. So if I say the word uh-oh, that part, uh-oh, if you try to say it, go ahead and try to say that. Uh-oh. Do you feel how that air is sort of stopped in your throat? You kind of close your throat off a little bit, which stops that air. Uh-oh. That is a glottal stop. So you're stopping the air and with your glottis in your throat. We often use this. This is just a tip at the end of words on consonant stop sounds. So that's just a little bonus here, is that you might hear this in with other sounds. So how do we do this? Again, we touch the tip of your tongue to the back of your top front teeth. But here's the difference. You do not move your tongue, you hold it there. No air will puff out of your mouth, and you're going to stop the air in your throat. Okay? So when you use this sound, it's going to sound like an kind of. You're going to use it before an unsyllable. Gotten, gotten, gotten. Or important, important, important. And then you're going to use that also when the word ends before a consonant sound, when a word ends in a T. So this is like in a lot of compound nouns that we hear. So football, hot dog, seat belt. Okay. So again, you don't have to do this, because if you say football or gotten, everyone is going to understand you. So again, this is more of just getting kind of fancy with your pronunciation. The fourth variation of the T sound is an aspirated T. So you're going to touch the tip of your tongue to the back of your top front teeth. Then you're going to pull your tongue down away from the teeth. The difference on this sound is the air is really going to puff out of your mouth strongly, okay? So it's aspirated. There's that sound that comes out. T, t. We use this at the beginning of a word. To, talk, table. The beginning of a stressed syllable. 19, between, mistake. And then we're going to use it after consonants, except for an N. Empty, doctor, launched. Okay, now I am exaggerating the pronunciation in a lot of these, so you might say, yeah, you sound a little bit different, Jennifer. Yes, because I'm actually stressing that for you. Okay, let me just double check to make sure we got through. Oh, nope, this is the one that I missed. The unreleased T. So again, now you're kind of getting into the swing of this. The tip of the tongue touches the back of your top front teeth, but this time you're not going to move it for the unreleased T, and no air puffs out of your mouth. Okay, so we say rent, won't, it. Rent, won't, it. So that's sort of that unreleased T sound. So you just kind of keep your tongue there and you don't move it. Okay, so let me stop my screen share, because if you've watched my classes, you know how important listening practice is. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to be looking off screen a little bit so that I can read my word lists, and then I will demonstrate how these sounds are made. So again, you're going to work on listening practice. So here we go. Steam, entrance, cats. City, litter, dirty, water. Hot dog, football. Rent, lent. 2, 19, doctor. Okay, keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you know what these are all called. All you need to know is these are all variations of a T sound. So don't think that you need to memorize all of these. Just maybe pick one that you like, or and then try to start using that one. Or again, if you don't want to use them, you don't have to. This is just good to know for your information, especially in terms of listening. Okay, so I'm going to say the words now, and I want you to repeat after me. Steam, entrance, cats. Okay, let's move on to the next one. City, litter, dirty, water. Okay, the next set. Hot dog, football. Set number 4, rent, lent. And the last set, 2, 19, doctor. All right, now I'm going to share my screen again. And I want you to go ahead and try these on your own. Let's try the first set. Steam, entrance, cats. Go ahead. And the next set. City, litter, dirty, water. Set number 3. Hot dog, football. And set number 4. Rent, lent. And set number 5. 2, 19, doctor. Okay, how'd you do? I'm sure you did great. Okay, skipped ahead too many times. All right, so now we're going to do advanced practice. And if you're really interested in this, you can watch my introduction to intonation, the video that I have on YouTube. And I also have some videos on word stress. There's a concept in American English that we link words together into thought groups. And so words that are in a phrase together, in a way, become a single word because we don't have a pause between them. So these rules not only apply in words, but they also apply in linking. So that's why you're going to hear some variations perhaps when you're listening to people talk, because we are then applying these rules just not from a word, but into a phrase. Okay, so go ahead and listen to these. Into, is to, can't get, what kind, not everyone. Okay, so repeat after me. Into, is to, can't get, what kind, not everyone. Okay, excellent. And now I'm going to have you listen to a paragraph. Again, always remember that there are variations depending on where I choose to pause in my sentences, depending on which word I'm trying to emphasize for intonation, which word I'm trying to say, hey, I think this is the most important, and listener, I want you to know what I'm thinking is most important. The word that I make longer and louder and a little bit higher, that T might be slightly different, even though there's a certain rule that I'm supposed to be following. So always keep in mind, there are all of these variations. Okay, so here's the paragraph. Tom and Tim will be back in 2 minutes. Not everyone is as timely as these two. So be on your toes and get set for the meeting. They want you to tidy up before they arrive. They plan to take the minutes. Any questions? Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, let's go ahead and try the paragraph. I'm going to read it one more time. Tom and Tim will be back in 2 minutes. Not everyone is as timely as those two. So be on your toes and get set for the meeting. They want you to tidy up before they arrive. Then plan to take the minutes. Any questions? Go ahead and give that a try. Okay, how did you do? I'm sure you did just fantastically well. Okay, so how do you go ahead and practice this? Listen, that's always my first rule of thumb, is just to listen for this. Listen to a native speaker, watch a movie. I personally like to recommend listening to podcasts. And as many of you know, I love Breaking News English. It's a great website where news articles are written and then they're actually recorded, and you can listen to them over and over, and then you have the text to go with it, which is very, very nice. And what you need to do is you need to learn how to hear this new sound, because you're not necessarily using it all the time. So again, on this one, think of this more as an exercise in listening. And if you want to go ahead and apply it to your speaking, go right ahead, but it's not required. This is just a bonus. Then you're going to move on to using your new rule, which you choose. So I would suggest for this class, because there are 5 different things, maybe choose 1 a week to practice or listen for. And then you're going to practice that in words, then get a little more difficult, practice that in phrases, then a little more difficult in sentences while reading, and then in conversation. Always remember, conversation is the most difficult, because not only are we working on sounds, but this is a language rule. This is something that we're using in our brain. So you're kind of thinking about a couple of things all at the same time, which makes it a little more difficult. And then practice, practice, practice. How? I just got a great question this week. How much should I practice? I always suggest practicing in little short bursts throughout the day. So some clients say, I just set my alarm on my iPhone and I practice at the top of the hour for 2 minutes all throughout my day. And I keep my word lists on my phone and I read my word lists, or I stop when I'm at work and I listen to a quick 5-minute someone reading something, or I listened to a quick podcast on the way to the bathroom even. Just kind of getting all of that listening practice in and that speaking practice in little bits throughout the day is really, really going to add up, because we talk all throughout the day and we don't just sit down and practice for half of an hour and use our English 1 time a day. So it's good to kind of spread that out, especially if you're not living in the US or using your English a lot during the day. What else can you do? Keep a list of words that you use often that have these target sounds in that you want to master. That way you are going to practice the words that you use the most. So then you will have those words at the ready when they come up. Always teach a friend. Share this video with a friend. Discuss it with a friend. Correct each other while you're speaking. That is always very, very helpful. And thank you all. So many people say they've shared my videos. I really appreciate it. I love to kind of spread the word. Get coaching. Always tell someone it's okay to help, especially at work. In the US, people don't want to correct you, so always give them permission to do so. And think big, but start small. Focus on one thing and then kind of branch out from there. Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to stay up to date, we're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, iTunes, my website, tarlespeech.com. Feel free to email me, list any questions below the video. Again, I'll have handouts up later today. And just thank you so much. I have one more free class for the month of July, which is next week, Thursday morning, July 28th at 9 o'clock US Central Time. So you can check on the meeting planner to find out what the time is in your neck of the woods. And I hope to see you there. It's on the ah sound and how you pronounce the AUGHT and some other different combinations. So I hope to see you there. So thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.